Hey everyone, this is Carla R. Jenkins. Welcome to an all new episode of Projectized, the project management show. And in this episode, I want to talk about coronavirus and its impact upon stakeholders as well as stakeholder analysis. So I've gotten this idea because, as you know, I read about current events and I wanted to do something that was relevant and helpful to people. So I looked at what I haven't covered yet. And in yesterday's episode, I talked about phase reopening and hybrid communication because 90% of your job as a project manager is communication. I also mentioned in that episode how stakeholders were very, very important. So now in this episode, I'm going to talk about stakeholders. And per the Project Management Body of Knowledge 6th edition, we're going to talk about identifying stakeholders, which is in the initiating process group. So there are 5 processing groups per PMBOK 6th edition: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. And one of the biggest pet peeves and mistakes that project managers make is only identifying stakeholders in initiating. Uh, the other 4 processing groups, you need to continue analyzing and identifying stakeholders because it changes. How does this impact? How does this tie in with coronavirus? Well, coronavirus is something that changed stakeholders. Think of it this way: before the quarantine, the government wasn't a prevalent stakeholder. Now it is because you're dealing with health, safety, protocols with social distancing. So the government is now a new stakeholder. You may also have other stakeholders involved outside of the government. So I'm going to use the same example: restaurant, or just walking around. The mask companies that are making the mask that we have to wear in public, that's a new stakeholder that you have to do. So, for instance, say that you're in a restaurant and now you have online people, you now have someone running takeout, and they have to wear masks in their cars, or they have to wear masks if they decide to do non-contact delivery or contact delivery. They have to wear a mask. Having a supply company and contracting them out, that's a new stakeholder. So a new supplier is a stakeholder. Another thing I also wanted to talk about, which I relate from yesterday as it pertains to my restaurant example, is the new online people that you hire. So for instance, pre-COVID-19, your restaurant was 100% offline and the only way to get service was in person. However, due to the quarantine, you partner with an online delivery service, and now you're doing some of your business online. In addition to that, you made a decision that upon your phase reopening, you're also selling some of your condiments, your sauces, online gift certificates, also online. So now you've hired new people who are exclusively handling online. Well, remember, those people are stakeholders too. Your team, your employees are stakeholders in your restaurant. So that is a change due to coronavirus. As I mentioned, I have some new people in here that a stakeholder, identifying stakeholder is in the first of 5 processing groups called initiating. The mistake that people make is that they only identify stakeholders in the beginning. You have to identify it throughout. So I use my restaurant as an example pertaining to stakeholders. So as I mentioned before, you everything was just in person. Now you partner with an online delivery service. It could be DoorDash, Postmates, TriCaviar, Grubhub, what have you. That's a new stakeholder. The mask that you have to um, furnish for your workers or the delivery person, that the new supplier for that company, that's a stakeholder. The new people you hire to do your online business during the phase reopening, that new team member or team members are new stakeholders. My point is, because coronavirus is very disruptive, it has changed your plans of stakeholders, and some have gone in, some have gone out. In addition to that, for those who have just come in, the federal government and the state governments regarding their health and food safety, that's a new stakeholder, or they're a greater stakeholder because we're currently in a pandemic. So I wanted to do this Projectized episode to talk about how coronavirus has affected stakeholders and what to do and how to analyze and identify them, which is very important because I think one of the things now is a lot of people don't know how to function. But now that you have new stakeholders, you have to continue reevaluating and assessing the stakeholders throughout the processing group. I know that the pandemic is disruptive, but this is a way on how you can still use project management to identify stakeholders and to increase the efficiency of your business. Because remember, stakeholder communication is very important. And for those who don't know the background, before PMBOK 5th edition, identify stakeholders was in the communication management knowledge area. So it's quickly tied to project communication. That's also why I did this episode, because if you manage stakeholders' expectations and you manage their communication and their engagement, you're more likely to be successful in project management. So this concludes this episode of Projectized. My name is Carla R. Jenkins. You need help passing the project management professional, or you need help better managing your projects, get in touch with me at carlarjenkins.com/contact. I would like to thank all live and replay viewers for watching me. And today I will shout out someone who watched me live from